Hello and welcome to another practice that we are gifting to you all as part of our self-care series, especially during COVID-19. And this practice, I wanted to talk about mala beads. Yes, I have a slight issue with collecting malas. Don't judge me. Mala beads are a way for us to focus the mind in Japa mantra for meditation. And for a lot of yogis, they're used because they look super cute. But I wanted to talk about the different types of mala beads. Not that I'm a huge expert, but also to show you the technique that you can use in order to utilize these far beyond their ability to be a very effective accessory. So with the mala beads, we're connecting with a tradition that is thousands of years old. I think that it was recorded as being practiced in the 8th century BC, but when it comes to yoga, we don't know when these practices started. But you can see them across many spiritual traditions. The rosary in Christianity is just one of them. The Tibetan Buddhists also use the mala beads. And what we do is, with these beads, we use them as the counting mechanism when we are chanting. And the practice of using beads and chanting repetitively is called Japa. Japa mantra is repetitive mantra. We say the same mantra over and over again. And as we do this, the mind becomes more and more focused. And when we finally release the mantra, we're able to drop into deep states of meditation. You might even find that you feel into that while you are doing the mantra itself. So every set of beads should, if you count them, have 108 beads. The 108 is another interesting facet of the mala because it is said to be a very sacred number. From a mathematical perspective, it has the capacity to be divided in many different ways. And the Vedic astrologers also were able to use this number of 108. I don't know how they did it. I don't understand how mathematics and ancient astronomy worked, but they had incredible tools to be able to measure the diameter of both the sun and the earth and to discern that the distance, the average distance between both was a multiple of 108 and their diameter. I mean, there's a whole thing. You can look it up. Needless to say, this number is found across the yogic tradition in terms of the amount of marma points, which are a bit like reflexology points, but these sacred points in the body. And across India, there are 108 sacred sites. Within the Upanishads, there are 108 Upanishads. There are 108 primary sutras. So this number is quite special and potent. And even if you do a yoga nidra, you'll see that they're always working with multiples of 27, 54, 108. They're all divisible into this 108 number. Then at the end of the bead of the beads and the mala is the guru bead. So there is an extra, there's 109th. And it is the bead around which all the other beads revolve. And you can liken that a bit to the sun. All the planets revolving around the sun. Your mantras are revolving around this one guru bead. And very often, this bead has a tassel attached to it. And because that tassel looks great, we often wear it. And it seems to make sense we wear it this way. But traditionally, you wouldn't show the guru bead. You would wear it like this. In fact, in many traditions, you wouldn't see the bead at all, and Hare Krishnas have their hands inside a silk purse. And across all of the traditions, they're meant to be held sacred. So if you're gifted a set of mala beads, don't let them drop on the floor. It's seen as being a disrespect to the practice, the tradition, and the sacredness of the beads themselves. Because what starts to happen when we practice with these beads, they tend to take on an aura. it's almost as though your energy is embedded in the beads and vice versa. And you start to create a relationship. There is a relationship between you and your mala beads. Now, this is more difficult when you have this many mala beads. I don't practice with all of them. In fact, some of them are very difficult to practice with. So a lot of people get the crystal beads, like these ones, and they're so beautiful. And I've been gifted many sets of mala crystal malas, and I love them, and they look beautiful, but they're not very practical because they're so heavy. And you'll notice in a moment when we talk through how we actually utilize them, you want them to be nice and light. There are seeds as well that are used. They're called rudraksha. These are probably one of the most traditional materials, and there is a beauty and simplicity in them, and they're said to be extremely good for immunity as well, and the health, healing, and transcendence of the user. So I highly recommend these traditional rudraksha beads if you can get your hands on them. Or the ones that I also love are, this one is a slightly less ratty version, either sandalwood or tulsi, because again, they're really light. I like to have nice big beads which have a space between the beads so that I can count with greater ease. This practice can take you, depending on the mantra, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour, and how quickly you chant your mantra. I'm going to move a little closer so that I can demonstrate to you how to hold the mala. So first of all, you don't want the mala, as I said, to drop down to the ground, and you want to keep them in your right hand, generally around the heart. And if the beads are so long that they drop to the floor, then you can hold them or rest them in the other hand. You'll obviously start at the guru bead, and you'll bring either the bead to rest on that ring finger. We don't use the pointer finger, the ego or Jupiter finger, for this practice. So a lot of people find this the easiest way, where they bring the mala bead onto the ring finger, and then one by one, using the thumb, every time you say the mala, you move to the next bead. I was taught slightly differently, so the ring finger and the thumb attach, and we kind of let the beads hang loose in between, and then we use the middle finger to track. Sometimes the hands can cramp up a little with this. So either of those two methods, as long as you're not using the left hand, because that was the hand used for ablutions, and the pointer finger, we're keeping the ego out of this practice. It would look something like this. A really great mantra to use is the Gayatri mantra, especially at this time. It brings a lot of lightness into the practitioner. Also healing and manifestation. So I would start on the first bead after the guru bead. Om Bhur Bhurva Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. Om Bhur Bhurva Swaha Tatsavitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat. And so on. Now, in this practice, I definitely will pick up the pace. I don't stay at a kind of medium pace. I'll go quickly. It is a really, really powerful practice. And at this time, when we have more time, there's more space, I definitely invite you to use the mala. It is a sacred practice, thousands of years old. It has really powerful effects. Even if you did it once a month, it could be on the new moon or the full moon. I guarantee using a mantra like Gayatri mantra and doing it 108 times, you will feel its effects, you will feel its power. So I hope you enjoy Japa mantra with your mala.